The one big change in real estate over the last decade has been emergence of strong brands in their own right and the importance of real estate as a business in the portfolio of some of the biggest corporate houses in the country. A name to reckon with on brand promise and delivery is Godrej Properties. Here are the views of the young dynamic CEO of the company, Pirojsha Godrej, who not only has to deliver on his Godrej legacy and brand promise, but also on the vision of making real estate the biggest in Godrej portfolio. In this pre-recorded interview, when Godrej was recognized as the top emerging developer of the country at the NDTV Property Awards, I started out by asking Pirojsha, over the last 5 years, you've expanded in geographies. Could you run us through some of your focus markets for the next 5 years?
Sure. We're currently present in about 12 cities in all parts of the country. We started our operations, of course, here in Mumbai, and we've expanded since then to cities like Pune, Bangalore, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad. We've more recently entered the NCR, which is a very important market for us now. So similarly, we've already got a presence now in 12 cities. I think our main focus over the next 3 to 5 years will be on building presence within each of those cities. So I think our key strategic priority will be to try and set Godrej Properties up as one of the leading developers in each of the markets that we're already in. We feel there's not too many markets that we're not currently in that are of any great importance to us in the short term.
Do you feel that the tier 2 cities haven't picked up as much as your expectations? You know, let's just take Ahmedabad as an example. Despite that vibrant Gujarat story, the city in terms of real estate has been both muted on price and demand for residential.
You know, I think each city does go through different periods, and there are markets that will look poor in a given year and then can look much better in another year. So taking the example of Ahmedabad, for us that's been one of our most important projects. It's our largest current project. We're doing a large township project there called Godrej Garden City. And we launched that project about 3 years ago, have since sold over 4 million square feet. Prices have appreciated by 50%. So I think the market has performed well over that 3-year period. But yes, if you look at the last year, the market has been a little bit slow. But I think most markets do go through those periods of slightly greater and slower growth. And we're very confident that the Ahmedabad market will be a very important market both for us and for the sector. We think the city and state have been doing very well from an economic growth perspective, and the real estate sector is one that obviously benefits tremendously from overall economic growth.
Your projects have been mostly in the premium to luxury segment. Would you be looking at expanding aggressively in the affordable segment?
Yeah, I think actually I would disagree slightly with the premise of the question. We have actually had projects across all price points in various markets. So Ahmedabad, our project, is a large township project targeting the mid-market segment. We have similar projects in Kolkata, in Chennai, here in Mumbai. We have some projects that I would say are in the similar price point. So we're not really focused in any case only on the upper end or the upper mid-premium end. I'd say we've got projects targeting all ends of the spectrum. I think for truly affordable housing, which I would define as sort of under 15 to 20 lakhs per unit, we still feel there are many challenges on the regulatory front that would need to be improved before any developer could make a very successful and large-scale play there. So it's a sector that we're very interested in, but I think we are adopting a sort of slightly wait-and-watch approach, and we hope to have a large presence in the affordable housing segment over the next few years, but certainly we already have a very large presence in the mid-income housing segment.
Commercial realty, Pirojsha, continues to remain subdued, and you've said that Godrej Properties will not look at developing any new commercial space beyond the current ones. You don't think that perhaps beyond 2015 you could actually see the demand-supply gap closing and rentals and capital values going up?
I actually very much do think that. I think certainly the commercial market is going through a period of weakness, and I absolutely believe that it is a temporary phase for the market, and that the market, not perhaps much sooner, but certainly by 2015 and beyond, will be very strong for the simple reason which always creates real estate cycles, which is that currently, during the current piece of weakness, there are not any developers who are planning major new commercial projects. So as the economy picks up, which I expect it will, and demand comes back for commercial real estate, there is going to be a period in the not too distant future where I think there will be an undersupply situation, which is when you'll see prices and volumes in commercial real estate starting to do better. So while absolutely I would very much agree that commercial real estate is a segment that will continue to do well and that is just going through a cycle of weakness that it's bound to come out of, the reason we have said that we're not currently looking at any more commercial real estate is a little bit more of a strategic call than a cyclicality-led decision. And the reason for that is that we think residential real estate fits better with our asset-light strategy. Our business strategy has throughout been to acquire land in a very capital-efficient manner, not to create land banks and invest heavily in land. So while we've been doing that with a great amount of success, commercial real estate is inherently more capital intensive, does typically require more capital to be pumped in, and then the monetization of the project usually happens at the end when the project is complete, unlike in residential where a lot of the monetization can happen prior to construction beginning. So for us, we think residential is a better fit, and of course the residential market size is much bigger than the commercial market size. So by size of opportunity also, we believe residential is the best target market for us.
Most developers are wary of bringing in a regulator for the industry. Cabinet's already cleared it. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think I have some mixed thoughts on that. I think clearly there are aspects of the sector and there are practices in the sector that could do with some regulation and that do need to see improvement in governance. So in that sense, sensible regulation that takes into consideration both consumer interest and the importance of efficiency and speed in terms of granting approvals and other things, I think would be a welcome addition. However, I think the reason that other developers and I would say us are a bit concerned about additional regulation is that our experience so far with the regulation of the industry has not been very positive. It has been in many instances overly bureaucratic, overly cumbersome. Any given project, depending on the city, can require between 50 and 100 individual approvals. So I think if the new regulation is brought in a manner where it understands that there are two interests that need to be protected. One is a consumer interest, that avoiding any kind of defraudation or defrauding consumers, and the other making sure that business can proceed, and which ultimately is the best way to ensure that real estate prices are kept under control. So if those objectives can be achieved, I think regulation could be a good thing.
What about your overall view on the economy, Pirojsha? The rupee is weak, economic growth has slowed down considerably, and fiscal deficit still remains a big challenge for the government. Do you think we could continue to ride a rough environment for another 12 months and that could affect real estate as well?
Well, I think, my personal sense is that things are starting to bottom out and improve from here. We've seen historical data that shows that every time that the economy is in a position like this, where there is very low GDP, where interest rates are very high, if you actually do a chart that shows 12 months out what those figures look like, there generally is a very dramatic improvement. And I think we already see clear signs of that kind of an improvement likely to happen in India over the next 12 months.
Thank you, Pirojsha, for your time and views.
Great to be with you, and thanks so much again for the recognition.
All right, back to our Q&A session. We've got Anand on the phone line with us. Anand, hi, go ahead.